how's this for a father-son project? You're watching Beyond the Trailer's review of Gravity.
Explorer's been hit. Explorer, do you read? Explorer, over. Explorer. Astronaut is off structure. Dr. Stone is off structure. Dr. Stone is detached. You must detach. If you don't detach that arm's going to carry you too far. Listen to my voice. You need to focus. I'm losing visual of you. In a few seconds I won't be able to track you. You need to detach. I can't see you anymore. Do it now.
Yes, Gravity is the result of years of hard work by celebrated Mexican filmmaker Alfonso Cuaron and his son Jonas. In fact, Cuaron's last feature film was Children of Men way back in 2006. What took so long to launch Gravity? Well, while its dazzling trailer and festival buzz have made it a hot commodity, that wasn't always the case. First off, the technology Cuaron needed to make Gravity didn't initially exist, which was incredibly frustrating as Cuaron had jumped the gun and already wooed Angelina Jolie for the lead role. But after talking to special effects gurus James Cameron and David Fincher, Cuaron had to just sit and wait. And then when Cuaron and his longtime cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki couldn't wait anymore and Jolie had already long gone, they decided to invent the technology. And even then, at the end of the day, largely what audiences will see on screen is an animated film with the actors' faces digitally inserted, sort of like when we see Tony Stark inside his Iron Man suit. Speaking of Iron Man, at one point Robert Downey Jr. was also supposed to star in Gravity. But ultimately, after Natalie Portman also passed, Sandra Bullock popped up on Cuaron's radar due to her Oscar win for The Blind Side. Bullock, reeling from her very public divorce from reality TV star Jesse James, connected with the material and agreed to star. But is a film that's so progressive technically equally progressive in its casting, or is that regressive? See, in a recent interview in New York Magazine, Cuaron says he and his son chose to have a female lead because they wanted to, and I quote, strip it from heroists, aka people who admire heroes. Are Cuaron and his son saying that women can't be seen as heroes? Tell that to the women who helped forge our clandestine services as spies during World War I and World War II, or the Air Force's current 60 female fighter pilots. Or how about Victoria Lee Soto and Anne-Marie Murphy, teachers who used themselves as human shields between Sandy Hook shooter Adam Lanza and their students and were fatally shot? According to Hollywood, if a black man, a white woman, and a white man are in a dangerous situation, the black man, if he's even there, would be the first to die, the white woman would become hysterical, and the white man would have to save her and the day. Maybe the woman can stumble around and manage to save herself as she continues to panic while in her underwear, a la the damsel in distress in your standard horror movie. Are amazing special effects really enough to make audiences keep accepting this scenario?
The non-white guy really did die first. I was shocked when that actually happened on screen. Because when I wrote the opening for this review, it was before I'd seen the movie. And I had included the cliche of the black guy dying first, because black women aren't even on the board in this Hollywood scenario usually, because I wanted to underscore the fact this isn't just a problem for women about how they're depicted in film. This is a problem for everybody but white males. So that's why I had included it in my opening. But imagine my surprise when I ended up calling it, and that actually happened in this movie. Because this movie is just a huge cliche in every single way. Not only was Sandra Bullock's character as annoying as I had thought she would be, as I feared she would be, she really is one of the worst female characters I've ever seen on screen. But aside from the non-white guy dying first, an Indian guy in this case, George Clooney's character was a huge walking, talking cliche, or I guess in this case, a floating cliche. And what was even weirder is that these weren't even, modern cliches. These were outdated cliches. And I don't understand how this keeps happening. I mean, I don't understand why audiences don't stand up and, take a stand against this and, not see these type of films and complain, and why the media doesn't complain. And also, I don't understand why Hollywood keeps letting this happen. Why don't studio executives, before they greenlight a film, have just a checklist of cliches on their desk that they can cross-reference? Because also, these problems would have been easily fixed in the movie because nothing's really interwoven here. It's not like, oh, well, if I remove this element, it will ruin this story point later on. Because there are no story points. There were no character arcs. There was no deeper message. And I think maybe that's why there were so many cliches used. Because story was really an afterthought here in Gravity, which is essentially like a special effects reel, a 90-minute special effects reel that they want you to pay to see. And it's very sophomoric in that, they tried to add a story, but it's like when a special effects house will do that, but not bother to hire an actual writer to to give them some material, because it was just a ton of cliches in terms of the characters that they were depicting across the board, not just Sandra Bullock, but also I found the film to be very emotionally manipulative. It didn't earn any of its dark points. It would just kind of have characters say the most depressing things they could think of with like a really, emotionally driven score playing over it. So they were just kind of tricking you into feeling sad, and it almost became like a joke as characters got just more pathetic and sad and tried to make things just like the worst, bleakest situation they could, without, as I said, ever earning it. So it's really unfortunate here that story was such an afterthought, because a lot of thought clearly went into the technical aspects of the film. It really is beautiful. It's very, leaps and bounds are made here technologically, and it's like, people say this is a gripping thriller. I was gripping my seat in frustration, not only about what I was seeing on screen, and just how horrible and sloppy it was in terms of storytelling, but also for what could have been. It's similar to the situation with Avatar. You watch a movie and you're like, imagine if they had given these toys to someone who knew what they were doing as a storyteller. So that's my hope, that now that this is out there in the arena, someone else will take it and do something great with it. And it's just frustrating to see this come from Alfonso Cuaron, because I think that I liked Children of Men. I think he has had good storytelling in the past. But maybe this is just a case where he was so focused on telling a zero-G story and a zero-G film, which is very well realized. There were a couple of cases where you could, for instance, tell that someone was digitally inserted or digitally animated, but that was very rare. Otherwise, it was impressive what they could do. But I think that as a film, I know that Gravity has some awards buzz right now, but there's still a long way to go and a lot of films to come out, and I just can't imagine it having any momentum in any category outside of technological, special effects or cinematography, because I felt it really was that poor. And I hope that audiences maybe do react this time, because I think this is being pushed so far in a negative way that I just hope there's some blowback, because how much longer is this going to keep happening? So that's my review of Gravity. If you've seen the film, be sure to share your thoughts down below. Would I see it, I guess? I guess that, prepare to be super annoyed, but the special effects are excellent. And if you are going to see it, make sure you see it in 3D on the biggest screen you can find. All right, thanks for watching, and you can check out these other episodes right now.